And so I had to, once it took some time for me to recognize that what I was saying was either death or life. And that I wanted to speak life, and I wanted to be clear that everybody around me speak life. I knew that was part of that healing journey, right? That you're praying for those things that you desire. You're having people pray about those things you want to make certain that doesn't take place.
Yes.
And then what happens with that when you speak words in affirmation, it actually prompts you into action.
Yes, it
does.
It does.
It doesn't just stop. You get off your knees and you just move on. It does then have things to start moving, or going into motion, right?
Yes.
People attracting folks who will have heard something you said and say, "Had you thought about this?" Or, and honestly, God, for me, those were angels, right?
Yes.
They didn't necessarily come from your circles, but I felt like the things I was putting out in the atmosphere was drawing the right kind of people and the right type of experiences that helped.
Yes.
Did you experience that through your journey?
I did. I did. And the most important part of it is I learned that the patient themselves is kind of devastated. So you're hearing what the doctor's saying, but you're really not processing it,
right.
in a healthy way for yourself.
That's right.
So that's why I've learned to make sure that when someone is diagnosed with cancer, I make sure you have someone go with you to those appointments, take notes for you, ask questions on your behalf.
That's right.
That is so important.
Because
your mind is not functioning the way it would normally function.
That's right.
And because of that, you need that person with you.
That's right.
You need somebody to be your eyes, ears, and your voice to speak for you.
That's right.
Until you're able to turn that situation around and speak for yourself.
That's right. No, you're absolutely right. Because some things you may not hear because you don't want to hear it.
Right.
And so you miss points, right, of, oh, they said this. Because you're still trying to process something that was just so new, novel, and like you're just shocked. Right? So you're absolutely right. And every doctor's appointment, I had somebody with me. And because sometimes in just the doctor's office, that was the scariest place to be.
Oh, yes.
Because of the things they would say.
Well, if you think about it, doctors speak a different language than we do.
That's right.
They use words that we don't know what they mean, what they are.
That's right.
What are you saying? What does this mean?
That's right.
And that needs to be broken down.
That's right.
Bit by bit.
That's right.
So that you fully understand, how is this affecting me, you know?
Right.
And that you get a complete understanding of what they're telling you and sharing with you.
And I couldn't underscore that more, being willing to ask questions.
Yes.
I think that's what got us both thinking about ways in which they presented the treatment, and us thinking about it a bit differently, right?
Right.
Because we will ask questions. Oftentimes we think, doctor's perfect, they get it all right. How do I question? But I think for both of us, it was one in which we question, okay, what does that mean?
Yes.
And how does that apply to me?
Yes.
Especially, I asked the question when they provided me with the treatment plan, can I see? It was pretty, intense. And I looked at, again, all the side effects that they were suggesting. I was like, well, can I see, how did you come up with this?
Right.
And they would say, well, this is what, this is based on the most current studies. And then my question, can I see that study? And fortunately for me, I had having a PhD, I kind of can read a lot of studies. So I was looking at stuff and I was, wait, this study this treatment was based upon a study that was for European white women in their 70s.
Yes.
And I'm an African-American 38-year-old woman in the U.S. Help me process this. And this is when I realized there was such a gap in the research that was focused on our circumstances and our situations. In fact, as we were talking yesterday, the idea that I was diagnosed, I was stage 2, which means that They had found it not only in the area in my breast, but it had also spread to some lymph nodes.
Right.
And what that means then is once it goes through the lymph nodes, that means it could be elsewhere in your body.
Right.
So
right.
it went from surgery as the potential treatment to radiation as potential treatment because it's in the area. But once it gets in your lymph nodes, then the next stage is chemo.
You're right.
Now, I will tell you, 38 years old, when I came into this, even just processing this, the first thing I thought was, God, please don't have me lose my hair.
Yes.
Let me do everything else. Let the treatment be everything else but chemo. But it's just interesting because I knew that with chemo, you lose your hair.
Right.
And but as I went through the process of understanding what it did and also seeing folks who had gone through it, recognizing that as much as I did not want to go through that experience, that could save my life. And unlike you, as I'm thinking about this as a 38-year-old in radiation, I didn't have the forethought to go, hey, can we do this differently? Which I think that's just amazing. And I want to make sure everyone hears that you actually pitched to them another way of doing radiation to actually eliminate
yes.
It from harming your heart, right? Whereas I just was like, I didn't think, well, can you reposition me? I was like, do I have to take radiation? So I went from all I want is radiation to no, I don't want it at all. So then it was going through several steps for me to think about, well, what is out there? Fortunately for us at that time, internet was pretty good. And so I did a lot of research. Did you? And yourself, you did that?
I
And
did.
so I think, we both did different things, but you did radiation and I did chemo.
Yes.
But we did it on our own terms, right?
Yes.
Coming to an understanding of the why and how would that really benefit me. So I ended up doing surgery and chemo, but I did not do radiation.
And I ended up doing surgery and radiation, but I still lost my hair.
Now, isn't that something?
Isn't that something?
Yes. Isn't that something
Yes.
and you don't hear that a lot.
No, you don't.
No.
You really don't.
Wow.
But I did find out that some women that have gone through radiation, chemo, they handled the chemo better than they did when they started the radiation. The radiation made them sicker.
Wow.
Then they were thinking the chemo was going to make them, sicker, but it didn't turn out that way. Because we don't all, process the same treatments the same way.
That's right. That is absolutely right. And that was 20 years ago.
Right.
And now with all the advances now, I think, women who are diagnosed are even in better situations when
Yes.
it comes to actually the full, complete recovery.
They are. But do you realize that cancer is still a secret?
Yes.
People are still not comfortable to let you know that they have cancer?
Yes. And I think that has to be for both of us.
Right.
At least that was part of our healing.
Yes, it was.
It was sharing it.
It was.
Making it. I said, I had a prayer group at the time, and I said, now you all will be serving need duty for the next year because, again, it's mental. If you keep it a secret, then you're maintaining all that anxiety and stress and worry and fear all by yourself.
Right.
And we now know that can be a trigger.
Right, and there's power in communication.
There is. So when we talk about how that looks, doing this by yourself, the very thing we know, studies show that stress can lead to cancer.
Yes, it can.
Right? So if you have that and you're carrying that burden all by yourself, then this is not a healing method.
No, it's not. But, when you put science and God together,
my God, yes.
That's powerful.
It is.
Very powerful tool.
It is. It really is.
Because it's a marriage.
Right.
It becomes a family.
That's
it
right.
becomes a whole unit.
That's right.
And
That's
you're
right.
not in it by yourself.
That's right. That's right. And so and that God is through your community.
Yes.
Letting others know, like you said, that communication is so important. When you don't carry it by yourself, it is one of those things like just saying, oh, so I'm not by myself?
Yeah.
Because that is a burden and a stress. Even when we think about, tending for our kids and we go through problems and issues and we think we're the only ones.
Right.
And then we meet someone who shares a similar story. You go, it's physically freeing to know I'm not the only one going through this.
Right.
And so going through that journey with others and allowing others to share what they've done in managing that is such a healing, is part of that healing treatment.
Let me share this with you. In the ministry, the cancer ministry, we called it Life Ministry.
Yep, beautiful.
That was the name of the ministry.
Yes.
And I've had people from 17 months old to in their 90s.
Wow.
That's a large spectrum.
Right.
But the 17-month-old, when I didn't meet her at the 17. When I met her, she was about 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And her mother brought her in, and she became a part of the ministry. Well, she was a very intelligent little girl, like one of those old souls, that you meet in a little body. And I had her to be the keynote speaker for the cancer celebration that year.
Wow.
And she told the story about what the doctor had told her she wouldn't be able to do.
A 5-year-old.
A 5-year-old.
What?
She was 6 at that time.
6. Well, 6. Wow.
And she was saying what the doctor had said she wouldn't be able to do because of the treatment that she had. Her, it would affect her brain, her functions, things that she wouldn't be able to accomplish. And then she said, but God told me I could do all of these things through him. No matter who treated me.
Wow.
And it was powerful.
Well, and what's powerful about that, if you think about that, we have the tendency to use this in every other area of our lives, right?
Yes.
Whether or not it's school, and someone says, it's going to be nearly impossible to major in this or finish here. We figure out how to, prepare ourselves. How do I manage through this mentally? But it's something about our health that oftentimes we will say we become hopeless.
Yes.
Because we feel like maybe it's out of our control. Like, if I'm working out, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to do something else that's kind of something that we will achieve and think all of the things we're sharing. We do that in other areas that we really want. And I think it is this idea that once we are diagnosed that we have no control over it. Right. When in fact, it is those same principles, like a little 6-year-old that her faith is managed. You think about what a 6-year-old faith is.
Yes.
It's this one that just says, I believe that I can, which then is followed up with action.
Yes.
Right? So I want to talk about action because I think this is really important in our change.
Let me tell you this. That little 6-year-old girl today, this year she graduated from Boston University.
Stop.
With a PhD.
Get out.
In physical
health. Stop.
Yes, you did.
Listen, I think everybody needs to hear
Yes,
this.
did.
This 17-month-old that gave her first message, so at 6, is now a PhD in physical health. At Boston University.
Yes.
Now that says a lot. Now I will be remiss to say there are those who fought the battle, courageously and did not win on this side.
Right.
And so I don't want to minimize anyone to this experience because many of us, like my husband himself, experienced parents who both passed away.
Yes.
But the journey itself, I feel like, can be one in which I've seen people who battled and still left an impact, no matter, even though they didn't physically beat the battle, how they left others better because of the way they approached it, right?
Yes, yes.
And I think it's really important that sometimes we see the end of surviving or not surviving suggestive of anything, because we know in the word that people have in harm and things happen, and it falls on good people.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so, first of all, I want to make sure everyone's clear. We are blessed.
Yes.
That God chose to honor us in this way, and that we're here talking about it. But I also want to make sure that we also, in this journey, we did some things also with our health.
Yes.
That we prayed, and then we got up and did a few things that, for those who are going through this journey, that could really help them in it. You want to talk about some of the things you did as far as health is concerned?
Yes, there were some changes that I made, for myself, and talk to others about it as well.
Right.
The type of food that we eat, and that we remember that the scripture tells us what we're supposed to eat and
That's
what we're
right.
not supposed to eat.
Right. Right.
And so we don't really know how we came up with cancer.
Right.
Don't even know if we had any cancer in our families in the past.
Right. Right.
Because it was always a secret.
Mm-hmm.
And so with those things in mind, you want to make sure that people are thinking about the fact of, what am I going to do, or what do I need to do to change moving forward?
Right.
What can I do to improve my quality of health?
Right. Right.
And the most important thing is we have to realize that our connection, our spiritual connection, should be our compass, our guide.
Right.
To help us navigate the journey.
Right.
Our mental status is very important.
Yes.
Because cancer will tap your mental being.
Oh, yes, it will.
It really will.
Yeah.
It will stress you. And then you have to make sure that when your spirit and your mind is in the right place and you're moving in the right direction, your body will follow.
So the way I thought about it was, I believed God was going to heal me, but I didn't want to get in the way. So I wanted to do my part. And so for me, it was looking at my body differently than I had ever thought about it, because I hadn't thought about it, right? And so my thing was, okay, God, I'm believing that you're going to do it, but I don't want to get in the way of the healing because I'm not doing my part. So one of the things I realized, and I think you and I both share this, that we were triple negative in our diagnosis. And I want to make sure everyone hears this, because you'll hear this throughout the entire month of October every year, about the stat about Black women triple negative, and particularly Black women triple negative under 40, which was my case, and how that is the most aggressive form of cancer. So I want to give clarity there, because that was scary to me when I heard that language. And what does that mean? Well, that simply means that there are 3 known causes of breast cancer. And of those 3, those who are, if you're triple negative, that means you tested negative all 3 causes.
Right.
Meaning that they can treat the symptoms, but because they don't know what caused it, that means if it's triggered again, that it probably would come back more aggressively. And so as Black women, even though we are less likely to get breast cancer, if it's triple negative, we're more likely to die than the other races. Right. And so it's important for folks to understand that, because I had to kind of, again, ask what does that mean is the most aggressive, and that also suggested that we're the least studied in this space, because if there are 3 causes and they don't know what the other, then why haven't they've been researching to identify that? So that leaves us to kind of figure out, okay, what is causing this? And like you said, now more is known. We know this stress can lead to it. But, for me, it was eye-opening, because I realized my diet was not helping things. And when I say my diet, and when you said everything is in the word, it was funny because, like I said, okay, how do I take care of this temple?
Right.
First thing I did was go to the word, and even looking at all the books that were out there, and they all kind of tied right back to the Bible,
Right.
in the sense that the very things that they were saying, processed foods, red meats, shellfish, pork, all of that, and I was like, hold up, I've seen this language in the Old Testament. When the people of Israel, when God was said those things that he would rather them stay away from. And once I started going down the line, I realized that what was common here was, even though we can eat anything as believers, the idea was that the nature of the sources of these foods had not changed. So, shellfish, the pig of the sea, and, what they eat. So what they eat, we eat. So started thinking about, well, how do I change my diet? Especially given that I had a family member, you said, cancer is secret. And families found out that a family member actually had breast cancer, and remembering how we used to joke about how she used to eat because we didn't understand this healthy eating. And so she kind of helped me, provided the blueprint of how to change my diet because she was 40 years out at that point in time. And I was like, oh, wait, okay, I can do that. And so just thinking about how I changed my diet for eliminating that. Now I still eat, turkey and chicken and, fish with scales, but all of that just lined up with the things, like you said, going to the same book and seeing that everything that was laid out there was consistent with what was actually in studies and so forth. And what let's talk about sugar. What was your take about sugar and what's the other one? And dairy. And milk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are not our friends. Neither one of them. They're very much an enemy.
That's right. That's right. And it's widely known. Studies show that cancer loves sugar.
Yes.
And so, again, looking back on how I was eating till then, which was not good at all, and thinking about how I was career woman, and thinking about how my family ate out literally 3-4 times a week, and how I love to snack on sugar snacks, and even dairy. That cancer thrives in mucus.
Yes, it does.
And so just thinking about all of those things and how I just changed my diet in that way. And again, it was a mental thing. I felt like I was contributing to my health.
Right.
That was, again, so it was the mind, body, spirit thing, right? And I'm doing something for my body, which mentally was making me feel good about contributing. So I was not solely relying on just the medication, right? That it gave me some sense of ownership, or I felt empowered. And that's all part of the healing process.
Yes, it is.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, I think when you were talking about the formula of, how you would eat and everything, I was thinking about the fact that when there's another type of medicine that we take, and it is prayer. Because I remember with the radiation treatments, I would put on my music, my gospel music.
Yes.
And that was my prayer time. I prayed the whole time I was getting treatment. Every time I was getting the treatment.
Right.
But that was a healing process for me.
Yes.
It was my time to spend with the Lord and to actually focus on what I needed you to do on my behalf, to get me out of this situation. Right. And so that to me is a healing situation.
Right.
And I came from a background where my family didn't have insurance. So we would go to the kitchen to mix up little things, herbs and spices and stuff to help you, get over whatever you were having.
That's right.
But there wasn't a doctor involved in that.
That's right. That's right.
And so, if you think about the kitchen relating to medication,
that's right.
The science, it's all in there.
No, you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who are concerned or have not gotten the point that you need to look out for yourself, I'm reminded of the analogy of every time I take a flight, when in turbulence, the pilot will tell you and in fact, the stewardess would tell you, or steward would tell you that in turbulence, the first thing you should do is when the oxygen mask drop, you put it over your face first. And then you take care of those who you may be, your children or the little ones. I will say again, when turbulence happens, and it will happen, take care of yourself first. And then you will be able to take care of all those who love you. But it's important to take care of yourself. The journey is for all of us. Let's embark on that journey together.